Hey y'all, let's read the book, okay? I'm gonna put this lip gloss on from Nix and Praline. So, I just got done making a video, so I just posted it. Now, I'm doing the reading. So we're gonna read a Stephen King book. Not in one sitting though. That's too long. Too long for me. Okay, so, and especially when the book is a slow burning book, it takes a while before you get to the action. So this one I would say is I don't think I've read that much. Let me see. I should have a bookmark on it, but I guess I'll take it off. Because I probably gave up. I was like, forget it. Because it felt like I was never getting at the good parts. Like there would be good parts, but then I think it was just because of school. Like when I was in school, in college now, like last year, it was hard for me to read it because it was so much school work. But let me show you. This is a school book that I forgot. I need to return it, y'all. I'm not going back to school, so I'm not going back. The Stand, Stephen King. The Stand. Stephen King. I'm not tracing that because this ain't a tracing video. So yeah, I'm sorry if you're like, really, you're not reading it yet, but okay, here we go. So this is the complete and uncut edition, so it is longer, and of course, if I shouldn't have got the unedited, but I like to have extra stuff. I like to know more about things than what is intended, whatever. But I think this one was published after the unedited one was the uncut one. So this is for Tabby, this dark chest of wonders. Let's read the author's note. I'm going to sneeze. I'm not gonna. Okay. The Stand is a work of fiction as its subject matter makes perfectly clear. Many of the events occur in real places such as Ogunquit, Maine, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Boulder, Colorado. And with these places, I have taken the liberty of changing them to whatever degree best suited the course of my fiction. I hope that those readers who live in these and the other real places that are mentioned in this novel will not be too upset by my monstrous impertinence, to quote Dorothy Sayers, who endured freely in the same sort of thing. Other places such as Arnett, Texas, and Shoyo, Arkansas are as fictional as the plot itself. Special thanks are due to Russell Dorr and Dr. Richard Herman, both of the Bridgeton Family Medical Center, who answered my questions about the nature of the flu and its peculiar way of mutating every 2 years or so into Susan Arts Manning of Casting, we make. Okay, so our preference in 2 parts, but they just basically saying that some of these were cut and stuff. Isn't that it's not a new novel and stuff, so. But yeah. So let's read. I'm gonna read up to like 25 minutes. But let's just, I thought I saw something. But okay, so this is says book 1, but there's some writings before. So it's like, I can't remember how it happens, what it is, but it's important. Sally, a mother. Wake up now, Sally. A louder mother. Let me alone. Oh, leave me alone. That's what I used to say. Wait, let me start over, because I just, when I'm reading on camera, I don't really process it. Okay, take it in, so let me do it. Read again. Sally, a mother. Wake up now, Sally. A louder mother. Leave me alone. He shook her head harder. Wake up. You gotta wake up. Charlie's voice, calling her for how long? Sally swam up out of bed. First she glanced at the clock on the night table and saw it was 2:15 in the morning. Charlie shouldn't even be here. He should be on shift. Then she got her first good look at him, and something leaped up inside her, some deadly intuition. Her husband was deathly pale. His eyes started and bulged from their sockets. The car keys were in one hand. He was still using the other to shake her. Although her eyes were open, it was as if he hadn't been able to register the fact that she was awake. Charlie, what is it? What's wrong? He didn't seem to know what to say. His Adam's apple bobbed futilely, but there was no sound in the small service bungalow but the ticking of the clock. Tick, 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 tick. Okay. Is it a fire? She asked stupidly. It was the only thing she could think of which might have put him in such a state. She knew his parents had perished in a house fire. I think that was kind of dark. She said that, okay. In a way, he said. In a way, it's worse. You gotta get dressed, honey. Get baby LaVon. We got to get out of here. Why? She asked. Getting out of bed. Dark fear had seized her. Nothing seemed right. This was like a dream. Where? You mean the backyard? But she knew it wasn't the backyard. She had never seen Charlie look afraid like this. She drew a deep breath and could smell no smoke or burning. Sally, honey, don't ask questions. We have to get away. Far away. You just gotta get baby LaVon and get her dressed. But should I? Is there time to pack? This seemed to stop him. To derail him somehow. She thought she wasn't as afraid as she could be, but apparently she wasn't. She recognized that what she had taken for fright on his part was closer to raw panic. He ran a distracted hand through his hair and replied, I don't know. I'll have to test the wind. And he left her with this bizarre statement which meant nothing to her, left her standing cold and afraid and disoriented in her bare feet and baby doll nightie. Okay, so I'm probably gonna have to go upstairs because my mom is back in the house now. She went outside, so it's not, the lighting might be different. Okay, so let's switch places. Okay, I ended up not having to leave because she went back outside. She likes to sit outside after work, so. But I don't even know where I went. guess it looks the same, but whatever. But Reno, Vegas, Salt Lake City, and she put her hand against her throat as a new idea struck her. AWOL, leaving in the middle of the night, meant Charlie was planning to go AWOL. So she's thinking he's just going crazy, maybe because she can't figure out what's going on. She went into the small room which served as baby Levon's nursery and stood for a moment, indecisive, looking at the sleeping infant in her pink blanket suit. She held to the faint hope that this might be no more than an extraordinary vivid dream. It would pass. She would wake up at 7 in the morning, just like usual, feed baby Levon and herself while she watched the first hour of the Today Show, and be cooking Charlie's eggs when he came off shift at 8 a.m. His nightly tour in the reservations north of Tower over for another night, and in 2 weeks he would be back on days and not so cranky, and if he was sleeping with her at night she wouldn't have crazy dreams like this one. And hurry it up, he hissed at her, breaking her faint hope. We got just time to throw a few things together, but for Christ's sake, woman, if you love her, he pointed at the crib, you get her dressed. He coughed nervously into his hand and began to yank things out of their beret or something, drawers, and pile them helter-skelter into a couple of old suitcases. She woke up at baby Levon, soothing the little one as best as she could. The 3-year-old was cranky and bewildered at being awakened in the middle of the night, and she began to cry as Sally got her into underpants, a blouse, and a romper. The sound of the child's crying made her more afraid than ever. She associated it with the other times baby Levon, usually the most angelic of babies, had cried in the night. Diaper rash, teething, croup, colic. Fear slowly changed to anger as she saw Charlie almost run past the door with a double handful of her own underwear. Bra straps trailed out behind him like the streamers from New Year's Eve noisemakers. He flung them into one of the suitcases and slammed it shut. The hem of her bed slip hung out, and she just bet it was torn. What is it? She cried, and the distraught tone of her voice caused baby Levon to burst into fresh tears just as she was winding down the sniffles. Have you gone crazy? They'll send soldiers over us, Charlie. Soldiers? Not today, they won't, he said, and there was something so sure in his voice that it was horrible. Point is, sugar babe, if we don't get our asses in gear, we ain't never gonna make it off from the base. Let me say it again. Point is, sugar babe, if we don't get our asses in gear, we ain't never gonna make it off the base. I'm screwed it up again, but anyways. I don't even know how in hell I get out of this tower. Malfunctioned somewhere. I guess why not? Everything else sure got malfunctioned. And he uttered a Highland-like laugh that frightened her more than anything else had done. The baby dressed. Good. Put some of her clothes in that other suitcase. Use the blue tote bag in the closet of putting anything else into the other suitcase was ridiculous. It would burst. She had to kneel on it to snap the catches. She found herself thinking, God, baby Levon was trained and there was no need to bother with diapers. Charlie came back into the bedroom and now he was running. He was still stuffing the crumpled ones and files from the soup dish into the front pocket of his suntans. Sally scooped baby Levon up. She was fully awake now and could walk perfectly well. But Sally wanted her in her arms. She bent and snagged the tote bag. Where are we going, Daddy? Baby Levon asked. Oh, that's the baby voice. Where are we going, Daddy? That didn't sound right. It's hard to make a baby voice when you're whispering. Where are we going? Okay. I was Aspen. Baby, can we be Aspen in the car? Charlie said, grabbing the two suitcases. The hem of Sally's slip flapped. His eyes still had that white, starry look. An idea of growing certainty began to dawn in Sally's mind. Was there an accident? She whispered. Oh, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Wasn't there an accident out there? I was playing solitaire, he said. I looked up and saw the clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. The clock had gone from green to red. I turned on the monitor. Sally, they're all. He paused, looked at baby Levon's face, eyes wide and although still rimmed with tears, curious. They're all DEAD down there, he said, all but one or two, and they're probably gone now. What's DED, Daddy? Baby Levon asked. Never mind, honey, Sally said. Her voice seemed to come to her from down a very long cannon. Charlie swallowed. Something clicked in his throat. Everything's supposed to maglock if the clock goes red. They got a Chubb computer that runs the whole place and is supposed to be fail-safe. I saw what was on the monitor and I jumped out the door. I thought the goddamn thing would cut me in half. It should have shut the second the clock went red, and I don't know how long it was red before I looked and noticed it, but I was almost to the parking lot before I heard a thump shut behind me. Still, if I looked up every 30 seconds later, I'd be shut up in that tower control room right now like a bug in a bottle. What is it? What? I don't know. I don't want to know. All I know is that it Killed. Then them quick. If they want me, they'll have to catch me. I was getting hazard pay, but they ain't paying me enough to hang around here. Wind's blowing west. We're driving east. Come on now, come on. Still feeling half asleep, caught in some awful grinding dream, she followed him out the driveway where their 15-year-old Chevy stood quietly rusting in the fragrant desert darkness of the California night. Charlie dumped the suitcase in the trunk and the tote bag in the back seat. Sally stood for a moment by the passenger door with the baby in her arms, looking at the bungalow where they had spent the last 4 years. When they had moved in, she reflected baby Levon was still growing inside her body. All her horsey rides ahead of her. Come on, he said. Get in, woman. Yeah, let me do it. Come on, get in, woman. What are you doing? Come on, get in, woman. She did. He backed up the Chevy headlights, momentarily splashing across the house. The reflection in the windows looked like the eyes of some hunted beast. He was hunched tensely over the steering wheel, his face drawn in the dim glow of the dashboard instruments. If the big skates are closed, I'm gonna try to crash through. Well, were standing open. One cord was nodding over a magazine. She couldn't see the other, perhaps he was in the head. This was the outer part of the base, a conventional army vehicle depot. What went on at the hub of the base was of no concern to these fellows. I said it like a country person, but it's fellows. I looked up and saw the clock had gone red. Tick-a-tock, 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 tick-a-tock. She shivered and put her hand on his leg. Baby LaVon was sleeping again. Charlie patted her hand briefly and said, "It's going to be all right, hon." By dawn, they were running east across Nevada, and Charlie was coughing steadily. And so, next time, y'all, we're going to read it. We're going to get into book 1, okay? I read hundreds of pages, I guess, but we'll start to read chapter 1 of this unedited book of The Stand. But it's really cool because it's like COVID, but this was made in like the 1990s, I think, the 1900s, the late 1900s, because I don't know, I don't really know, but let me see, I should have read this at the beginning, but I think it's cool because it reminds you of COVID. It's like he predicted COVID, but okay, it's not gonna be as bad as this, but it's like a virus spread, and it reminds me of COVID. Like, dang, Stephen King, you're ahead of your times, man. Okay. It says an accident occurs in an army lab doing research on biological warfare. A virus breaks through the isolation barrier and rapidly causes the death of nearly everyone working in the plant. One survivor races home to his wife and child, bundles them into a car, and makes it to a gas station in Texas. Okay, I can't read it because it's going to spoil it. But yeah, this is as the extraordinary bestseller of modern times. Complete and uncut and illustrated. So, let's see, it's like it got the school. I think this is cool because it's like it's taking over the world. It's making the world great, and well, it's not. I don't even think this is cool. I can't really say good, but there's Stephen King. But it says, few books in the history of publishing can rightfully be called a phenomenon, but certainly that word applies to one of the most unique and remarkable novels of all time. The Stand, first published in 1978 to extraordinary critical and commercial acclaim, an expanded version with black and white line illustrations came out in 1990 to similar critical and commercial success. Both editions have worldwide sales of 4 million copies and translation into 12 languages. Stephen King is an international household name, a brilliantly gifted storyteller whose ability to enthrall readers is without equal. In The Stand, he created a horrific epic depicting the end of a civilization, a classic about the battle between good and evil. With its moral complexity, awesome depth, and variety of characters, and compelling readability, The Stand is a timeless work that rightfully takes its place as a modern classic for new readers to discover and old fans to cherish anew. Stephen King, you know. But it said in 1978 The Stand was first published, but it lacked over 150,000 words that had been cut from the original manuscript. In 1990, The Stand was restored to its entirety with more than 500 additional pages, along with new material, new characters, 12 illustrations by Bernie Wrightson that eerie depict the action as well as a new beginning and a new ending. What emerged as a true modern classic because of COVID, I wanted to read and see if it kind of sounded like COVID. But anyways, guys, thank y'all for watching, and I hope to reach y'all next month too. I'm really excited, y'all. Reading this book is probably gonna come out quicker than the last day of the month, like right now, okay? Because I'm excited to read part 1, the book 1, so we can start that. But anyways, I already read like a little bit, because you know this is a big old book, but I really like that much, and so I know what's gonna happen a little bit, but you know I forgot a lot. But anyways, guys, once again,